Okay, what are you saying, people? Welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly analysis for you. On the screen of the pairs we'll be analyzing today. But again, guys, another video during the holidays. Hope you're all doing well, taking time to rest, spend time with your family. You get your New Year's resolution sorted. And for the people that haven't subscribed yet, feel free to start the year with a bang. Hit the subscribe button, drop a like as well. But all jokes aside, guys, I hope you do enjoy the video today. If you can, make sure you stay to the end. I will be going through each pair, analyzing what happened this week and potentially what could happen next week as well. But enjoy the video, guys. But with all that said, let's get straight into it. Okay, so for Euro USD this week, we really did see a nice move to the upside. It finally does look like the market's getting ready to break out, reverse to the upside here, which we were expecting over the past couple of weeks now. We still do have our long-term targets for Euro USD reversal up at these areas, nice support term resistance. Then we've got the retest kind of around the area of 1.15400. So that's where we're expecting a reversal to head to. Again, that might take a few days or weeks, but that's our long-term vision. For Euro, as of right now, we're looking quite bullish, and we were looking for buying opportunities this week. I did highlight two areas this week of places to look to buy from, that being one area, and the second area, which was this area, which essentially did hold. Price had a quick false break of it, 4 hour candle closed bearish below, and then we closed bullish right back above that area, and prices just continued to the upside from that. So essentially we held that area, but first we did want that false break. Now you can see we're looking fairly bullish here, so we're looking for more upside coming into next week. We've broken through this kind of general area of resistance, not really a specific kind of line, but this kind of general zone of resistance we've broken through. So I'm looking for price to come back and retest this, confirm that as support, and now we'll be looking for continuations to the upside. So pull back into there, few wicks, some nice candlestick patterns. We'll look for buys probably in the hourly time frame, and our first target, besides that long-term target, will be this area here, because very strong area of supply support never came back to this area, so could see some sellers stepping into the market at 1.144. so do watch out for that. Obviously, expecting price to continue, but it could be a scenario where we come into this area, come right back down, and then go. So we'll be looking for buys into that area this week. Nice break and retest of around 1.13600. We'll be looking for maybe the hourly chart, maybe even the 30-minute if we can get something there, but probably hourly time frame. Nice break and retest there. Stop loss below, looking for move it up into that 1.144 zone. If we can smash through, great. Can probably look to push the trade on further, but obviously that's depending, up to you. But so far for next week, just looking for a push into 1.144 from 1.136. Okay, so next up I've got USD JPY. So this pair looking fairly bullish. I did say last week that if we do manage to break through this level, I'm expecting price to head back to highs, which is 115,500 and this level over here. So you can see we're not quite there yet. So coming into next week, I'm expecting the kind of that same thing to happen. Price just to continue its journey into those highs and probably take those highs out as well and see some higher highs. So if you do jump to the weekly, you can see here the market is still quite bullish here. This year, I'm expecting price to probably reverse. However, we failed to see that bearish momentum come through. And in fact, the bulls came very, very strong. And you can see on the weekly chart there, we're still pushing to those highs. So I'm anticipating that wick to be taken out on the weekly, which is that high there on the daily. I might see some retracement beforehand, but essentially that's what I'm expecting price to do. So for me, only buys really looking at for USD JPY. We broke above this resistance here, now we're holding that support, so we might be able to get a nice buy there on the hourly time frame. As you can see, we've bounced 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times now, and we're still respecting this area of support. So if you can hold on to that coming into Monday, could catch some nice buys there, about 40 pips, so nothing crazy there for USD JPY, mainly because you've already done the bulk of the move. If price was close to here, I would expect to see maybe some retracement and a retest of this area to go long. However, because we're so close to the target, we're probably going to only catch 40-50 pips maybe for some buys before maybe price does roll over. So the next week, expecting those buys into those highs. If price does happen to reject these highs, do be careful. could be a bit of a trap, but if you do reject them and see some good price action, then potentially there could be some sells at those highs there at 115,500. If you do look left, you can see when we did respect this area, we absolutely collapsed. But because it's a bullish trend in the higher time frames, and normally the higher time frames normally win, I am expecting those highs to be taken out. But if they're not taken out and price respects them, then if there's a good sell set up, then 100% could see some nice sells there. So I'm going to throw that idea in there, but if it just stays bullish, yeah, I'm expecting that level to break. So yeah, mainly focus on those quick buys to the upside, hopefully getting them quite early in the week. But yeah, looking fairly bullish here for JPY, so expecting a move to 115,500 for next week. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to USD CAD. So USD CAD, big move to the downside this week, which was expected. We were looking for USD CAD to roll over. So a very, very strong area of weekly resistance here. You can see with all those wicks into this area, price is really struggling to break through that. And USD CAD has rolled over. And I did say for USD CAD last week that hopefully we can see a bigger move to the upside first before we do roll over. You know, get that major lower high in before we do roll over, but we didn't quite see that strength to the upside. We made a couple attempts to try and put that lower high in, but overall price was very, very corrective, and it eventually just leaked to the downside and broke through a lot of key levels there. So USD CAD, we were looking for a push into this low for the week here. We actually did see that just, you know, coming into the end of the week. I'm still expecting more downside, potentially could push into those lows over here at 1.25. So you could actually see a push further into those areas, maybe even snap through that level as well. So coming into next week, do want to see some retracement first, because obviously we have sold off quite aggressively there and we are coming into some support. So I do have a few areas in mind. I'm mainly looking at this area here, where we had really nice resistance, support, resistance, and we failed to roll over a couple of weeks ago and we snapped through. So I'm looking at price coming up, finding resistance there, and then respecting that, moving lower into that 1.25 level, or we just break through this, retest it, and then sell off. Either which way, I'm quite bearish on USD CAD, not expecting much buying opportunities, and if there are, I probably wouldn't look to really get involved. I'll probably just be looking to sell it back down if I can. So yeah, USD CAD for me looking very bearish here, just looking for a retest of 1.27300, or if you can get underneath this level, retest it of 1.26100. Now we'll get into shorts, and the target for the week will be 1.25 down there.
Sorry to interrupt the video, guys, but if you are enjoying the content and you're finding it useful, make sure you go hit the subscribe button down below, and also make sure you drop a like as well. It really does help the channel out. But anyway, back to the video.
Okay, so coming into Euro Pound, so Euro Pound do have a bearish bias for this pair. Coming into the week, we were looking bearish. We were expecting a push into these lows, which you can see price did hit there on Thursday. We didn't see the retracement we were after. Price kind of just opened up, rolled over. We were looking for a break and retest of this support here. Didn't quite get that. Price just rolled over. Did hit our target of that low. Probably expecting price to continue further, because looking at this from a higher time frame perspective, still expecting a push into this support here on the weekly time frame, kind of around the 0.83 area. So I still see more downside for Euro Pound. I remember a few weeks ago I was talking about the break and retest of this swing low here. Nice push to the upside. We got underneath it, looking for the break and retest for the market to roll over. However, didn't quite get it. We snapped back above. So this time, hopefully we could get that break and retest now. And I do think price will roll over to the downside. First target will be the lows, and then we can push it to 0.83 if you're obviously looking at that area. If not, and we do break above, then I will be looking at that break and retest area which I was talking about last week, in this 0.84900 zone, which we didn't retest last week. If we do snap above, we'll be looking at this for the retest, and yeah, looking to sell it back down again. Not interested with the buys, just looking for the market to roll over. So looking for a move into 0.83. Again, probably might not happen next week, but we can make our way that to the downside, and then potentially maybe in the next few days after, or the week after, we might hit 0.83. But for Euro Pound, looking for sells, not interested in buys at 0.84. 0.84200 or 0.84870 out there. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to Aodu USD. So this pair looking bullish as well. We did see a lot of US dollar weakness this week. Again, I did say we were looking for buys for Aodu USD. However, we didn't quite come into the area I was looking for the retest of. You can see really nice daily resistance here, taken across. I was looking for the retest of this zone. However, this week you kind of just consolidated, going across sideways, and then we're pushing to the upside. We were looking for a push into this support here, term resistance, which price just about tapped into. So again, another pair that we were expecting, a certain direction, which did happen. However, we didn't see that retracement. So coming to the week, you can see the market is a little bit choppy, but I do still see more upside for AUD/USD. I'm looking at these highs up here on the 4H next as the next swing high to go and attack at 0.73600. We still do have to break above this support here, quite a key area of support resistance, which is the same area that I was talking about on the daily. This area here, so that same still area we do have to break through, but I do think we will. So if you do break above that, that'll be great. Come back, retest, show confirmations, and I do think we can probably push on. A little bit of a trend line there for AUD/USD as well, so maybe if you stay above that, we do also expect continuation. If you do break below this completely, then we might be seeing a bit more downside for AUD/USD, especially if you get back below this level here on the 4H. Really nice resistance there. Resistance will act as support now, so if you do get back below the trend line and back below that, it actually might give us some nice sell setups, in fact, to take this lower and start retrace some of those bullish candles over there. So I will throw out that sell setup just in case price does break to the downside, because it is looking fairly corrective, but because I do believe more US dollar weakness is on the way, I'm expecting AU and the other USD pairs to reverse to the upside. So looking for price to get above 0.72800, break above, retest, give us a nice confirmation to get involved. Can be looking at some buys here, and then like I said, that high at 0.73600 on the 4H, which is the next swing high, will be our target for next week. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to NZD CAD. So NZD CAD, nice move to the downside this week, which was expected. I did say to you guys, because we were rejecting this area, you can see how many wicks we were putting into this area. Price was really failing at 0.87400. So I'm expecting price to roll over to the downside back into our very, very key, critical level of support here at 0.86400. And then potentially, if we do hold onto that, we could see some nice buys in a bit of a inverse head and shoulder setup. As you can see there, potential right shoulder could give us the move to the upside. If you do break below this, then I'm expecting price to roll over into that lows there of that wick and probably even further. So coming to the next week's fairly simple for NZD CAD. If we hold onto this area, could be some nice buys right back up into that resistance, that neckline, maybe even further if we can break through. So looking for the buys at 0.86400, and again, this is that daily area support. And if we break through that, we'll be looking for the retest, and again, we'll wait for a daily close below just to signify that the dailies are also showing that momentum is breaking through that level. Then when we do, we'll look for the break and retest, and then we'll be looking at sells into these lows and probably even further as well. So just looking to see if that level of key daily support will hold or not. If it does, looking for a push right back up into that zone. If not, we're coming back down to these lows. This is just another lower high, and now we're going to expect a lower low. So yeah, NZD CAD looking fairly bearish, but it's at a key support, so we'll see what happens there next week. If we hold, buys back up into 0.87400. If not, we break, we'll look for the retest and sells back down into 0.85500 down there. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to pound NZD. So pound NZD, we did see some upside this week. Price actually being very, very corrective, I do have to admit, but I did say this week that if we can break above this level, because we were squeezing between this level of resistance and this trend line over here, I said if we can break above that level, great. I'm expecting this range here to be filled. So I'm still expecting this range to be filled between 1.96500, which is that resistance, into this resistance at 1.99500. So I'm expecting more upside now for pound NZD, but essentially do have to stay above this level here on the daily time frame. So dropping onto the 4H, you can see we still do have this trend line here intact. and we do have a newfound area of support, which price seems to be respecting for all these wicks here. So I'm looking at two main setups here, seeing if the market can respect that trend line still and that support, looking for buys, and then we can look to extend it into that range at 1.99500, or if we come back to retest the daily zone at 1.96600, we'll be looking for buys from here. And then yeah, same as that trade into those highs as well. Either way, we do need to stay above that daily zone here, and I'm expecting price just to continue to the upside. Break back below, then things will change. I'll probably have to reanalyze that, see what could happen from that. But as of right now, very bullish on pound NZD. As long as we stay above 1.96500, looking for either the retest of the trend line and that support there that I've just drawn, or the major key daily support. And I'm looking at buys back up into those highs at 1.99500 for next week. Okay, so let's see what's happening with CAD JPY. So as you can see, looking quite bullish now for CAD JPY. We did have a bullish bias coming into the week, looking for a push up into this area of resistance there at 9200. As you can see, we've smashed through that coming into this area up here actually. So yeah, price for CAD JPY is looking very, very bullish. I'm expecting some retracement to the downside very soon for CAD JPY, but I do think, you know, looking at the higher time frames, the weekly especially, we could see still more upside for CAD JPY in the next coming days. So I do think we'll probably see some retracement, and then price could end up continuing. So I'm mainly focusing on these areas over here. Really nice support and resistance at 90, pretty nice psychological level there as well, and also this resistance here at 9173. Potentially could look at sells from this area again, a little bit more aggressive, because we are going against the grain a little bit. Momentum on the daily, weekly are pretty much with the bulls, 4H as well. So again, completely up to you, but if we do see some nice rejection here, there could be some sells. I'm expecting price to retrace, because I do want to see price, you know, pull back a little bit, come back into this area around 90, and then from there we could probably see a nice continuation. So if I do go on the daily quickly, it does look like we're having you know, quite a big double bottom pattern here. Nice move to the downside, pull back, form that double bottom, break for the neckline, look for the retest of that neckline for price to turn bullish there. So looking for those sells to kind of complete the pattern, then we look at buys there to take it to the upside. So again, completely up to you how you want to trade it. I'm mainly bullish on CAD JPY, so if the sells don't look good, I'll just wait for price to retrace and focus on the buys. But buys at 90, that nice psychological level, buying retest of this area. You know, first target will be that resistance, but we can probably push this a lot further and look for the full swing. Again, completely up to you how you want to trade it. But CAD JPY looking at sells at 91,200 if only we reject it, because again, we could just break through it and just keep going. And if you do see some retracement back up into this zone of 90, we'll be looking at buys again to take that back up into those highs and maybe even further. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to pound USD. So pound USD looking quite bullish this week. We were looking for a push into 1.35, which was this structural high over there. Looking for a bit of retracement. I said to you guys that hopefully we can see a push into 1.33500, come back, retest this area, and now support, resistance, you know, resistance. However, failed to do that, didn't quite retrace, but we did see that move into 1.35. So coming into next week, still looking bullish. Looking at the daily, I do think we can see push now into 1.36, which is this really nice zone here on the 4H, nice support resistance there. And also it was the previous high, you know, above that one, formed that lower high, then that lower high, then we, you know, continue to the downside. So naturally expecting to move back up into that area. So if we can stay above this area of support, also to have a nice trend line there, it had a bit of a false break past the trend line, but essentially we still hold it. So essentially if we can pull back into this area of 1.35 now acting as resistance, we'll be looking for buys to push it into 1.36. So that is the plan for next week. Again, not really bothered with the sells. USD is looking very, very weak. And I do predict more weakness coming in the next few days and weeks. So I'm not really bothered about catching the retrace or looking for the sells. Mainly focused on the buys. So a retrace into 1.35 will be good. And I can see this pushing into 1.36 for next week. Okay, so now we'll take a look at pound CAD. So pound CAD, we did see a move to the upside this week until Thursday, Friday, where we reversed quite aggressively. We're looking at push into this area this week of 1.72750. Nice support, time resistance. Then we got the retest. Finally got the retest, and I was saying last week could be looking for a nice break and retest here. Again, didn't quite get that retracement, but still did see that move into that key area. So right now, pound CAD looking fairly bearish. We are coming back up into this area now, which potentially could be the retrace. But with this price action here, it does look like potentially we've got a bit of a false break of these highs. And I do think pound CAD could actually see a lot more downside coming up over the next few days and weeks. So coming into next week, we are coming into this resistance time support. So if it is a break and retest of this daily area here, we could see another swing back up into that zone. So firstly, we'll be looking for buys to see if we do reject this, hold on to it as support, and we look for that continuation. But if we just continue to be bearish, break through, then it will be acting as resistance, and I will be expecting price to continue to the downside after this false break and a push all the way back down to these lows. And again, that might take a few days, maybe even a couple of weeks for that whole swing to happen if we do break back inside. But essentially that is where I'll be looking to target for pound CAD. So me for pound CAD, I'm quite bearish on this one, anticipating the false break here for a bigger move. But if I'm wrong and we do have a break and retest of that, we could turn bullish and continue higher. So see what happens on the retest here, see if we hold or if we don't. If we do hold, then buys back up straight up into that resistance of 1.72750. If not, break and retest of 1.70700, which is that level of support resistance there, and we'll be taking it down to these lows at 1.6650. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to pound JPY. So pound JPY very bullish this week. Again, we were looking for a push into these highs this week. First, I was looking for a bit of retracement, then the push. However, pound JPY was far too bullish. Continued to the upside and broke through that resistance there. So pound JPY is still quite bullish. I still do expect to see a retracement sooner or later. Again, definitely more risky trade. I do think the down move will probably be retracement, and I will definitely be looking to buy it back up again. Looking at the daily and the weekly, you can see the market is displaying a lot of bullish momentum, and the bulls are definitely winning this battle here. So I'm looking for some retracement from this area. See really nice resistance there, nice area of supply, big drop to the downside. Looking for price to come back, retest this, form a higher low, and yeah, look for continuation. So it's up to you how you guys want to trade it. You can potentially look to take advantage of that short of the retracement, of course, if we do get it back down into 154,500, which is this resistance now, will be turn support for us. And if we can manage to hold on to that, we'll be looking for my longs to take this one a lot further. Well, first targets will be the 156 area of resistance, which we potentially could sell at, but I do think if we snap through, form that high low, we can we can go a lot further. So that's the plan for pound JPY. Overall still bullish, not really focused on the sells. If they're there and they look good, potentially there could be some nice trades there going against the grain a little bit, but the buys are definitely the more probable and better trades there, which are aligned with the higher time frame. So hopefully we can get some retracement this week for pound JPY back into 154,500, and from there we'll look to buy it much higher. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to gold. So gold looking very bullish this week, which was expected. We did have that bullish bias. Price was holding on to this level here, kind of minor level, but the structure was shifting and now pushing to the upside. And last week I did forget to mention this key level of resistance here at 1830, mainly talking about the support resistance up there, which I still do think price can hit if we do break through this level. But at the same time, this is a very strong level, which could actually send price straight to the downside if we do hold. So coming into next week for gold, the market is still bullish, and I'm still do have that bullish bias, but I do need to see 1828 broken, price above that, then we can start looking at a push up into this zone here around the 1845 1850 area. So the plan for next week is to see if we can get the break and retest of that level for the push up into that. If not, this would probably be a great place to sell at, and price will probably see a lot of downside, and naturally we're looking for that push into that previous higher low, which is at 1795 1790 ish area. So that's the plan for the week For gold, price is still looking bullish on the daily, so I do think if we snap through this, we'll just see a nice continuation. If not, the daily holds and we just reverse, then that is where I'm looking for a push into for gold for next week. Back down into 1794, 1793. If we get some sells in for next week. If not buys, I'm looking for 1848 for next week. And last but not least, we've got Bitcoin. So Bitcoin fell over to the downside this week. We failed to hold that key level of support and resistance that I've been talking about last week. Really nice resistance there, I said if we hold, I'm expecting a push back up to 53k into this area. However, we did see price respect that support resistance. However, failed to take out those highs, failed to do so, and we turned bearish quite quickly. So Bitcoin for me still looking moderately bearish, not the most bearish pair in the world, but we are still putting in bearish structure. So difficult to look for buys. Yes, this is a very key area, 46,500, very key area of support, which is still holding. So potentially, if we do see a nice reaction from that, we can get some buys for Bitcoin, maybe even push it into the upper kind of resistance all the way up there, depending how good price action is. If not, and we end up breaking through, which I do think we can do for Bitcoin, I do think we're just going to go fill that wick there on the left at 41,710. So that's the plan for Bitcoin. Overall, I'm a little bit bearish on this one more than the bullish side of things. But if you do hold into that support, there could be some nice buys naturally as price starts to find some resistance and head higher. But if we snap through and then break and retest is what you should be looking for, and a push to go and fill that wick to the downside for Bitcoin for next week. Okay guys, that is the end of the video. Hope you all enjoyed that and found that useful. Like always, any questions, agree or disagree with my analysis, please let me know in the comments down below. I will get back to you. If you did enjoy the video, please like the video. If you haven't already, subscribe, join the family. What you're waiting for? But I hope you guys do have a great time for your holidays, and I'll catch you in the next one.